We're seeing a huge amount of capital needed to be invested in the US infrastructure, specifically the energy and the transportation sectors. The US infrastructure is old, and despite spending billions of dollars a year, it's getting older. On the energy side, despite what Mr. Trump has said to the West Virginian coal miners, coal is basically on its way out. So is nuclear. In fact, over the next 15 to 20 years, we think that roughly 25 to 33%, about a quarter to a third, of the US coal and nuclear power plants will be taken out of service. That's going to require about $400 billion of new capital to replace that generation. To put that into perspective, that's about 14 times the total market cap of all of the independent power producers and renewable energy providers. On top of the generation, there's about $2 that gets spent for every dollar that's spent in generation on the transmission and distribution system, the wires, the poles, the transformers that are needed to support the generation. That's going to require about another $800 billion of capital. On the midstream side, the US is a rapidly growing and now the largest producer of oil in the world. And because of the shale revolution, there's about another $800 billion of capital required to support the midstream energy infrastructure. So you have $400 billion for generation, another $800 billion for transmission distribution, about another $600 billion for midstream energy, and you have a huge amount of capital required. On the transportation side, the US infrastructure is similarly very, very old. There's about $75 billion needed just to improve our airports in the United States. At Oak Tree, we believe in specialization, in the power of specialization. And within the transportation sector, we think we have a unique competitive advantage in being the only entity in the US that has a license, only private entity in the US that has a license to run an airport in the United States. We think that there'll be enormous amount of opportunities to improve the US airports and to improve the transportation infrastructure as a whole.